Hello and welcome back to Far Beyond the World. We will be continuing where we left off. At first, I was brushing off those two fatzos as nothing more than a comedic relief or a distraction. At worst, they were just the typical entitled boomers who use their familiar relationships to blackmail everyone into tolerance of their racist, outdated views. But now, it seems they're more than just bigoted mouthpieces. They have real sway, and when it comes to politics, that's dangerous. That sounds like Republicans. Dangerous enough to make Vol completely messed up by fear. I seriously do not know what I woke up to, but whatever this is, I intend to see it through, no matter what. Rannoch, Verissa, Cora, and even Vol, despite him not openly admitting that, risk their lives for me, for what's right. Tryst was right, the young ones are different, and they seem to be the only hope for this tribe to move forward. Not even tribe, the entire forest. I chuckle, reminded of what Varrock said. The human can tip the scales. At first, I didn't want anything to do with any scales, but now seeing that whether I like it or not, my and everyone else's life hangs in the balance, I'm not going to simply sit by and watch the chips fall where they may. As dismissive as the wolves are of the Salavan folk, I think I could be the bridge to gap the divide, and if I play my cards right, I might tip the scales in Rannoch's favor. In any case, Dran and Aldris ended up on my shit list, and I will do everything in my power to undermine their position, just as they do everything they can to undermine Rannoch and his father's. I'm a dumb ape in their eyes, so the irony of such a twist will be this much sweeter. When I reach the road branching out towards the villa, I take a moment to calm myself. I rest against one of the pillars making the perimeter and take deep, slow breaths. Tryst is quite easy to freak out if he senses danger. I cannot let myself appear rattled when talking to him. I need him on board. As I walk through the front garden, I'm met with the now familiar architecture. I spot two bunnies going about their greenery. The closest to me is an almost yellowish female, clipping the hedges. The other one, much further in the back, is a plucky gray male, quite massive for a bunny and not just in the waistline. He's huge, almost twice the size of Tryst. Guess they come in all shapes and sizes. The large male notices my gawking and stops brushing the pathway, pointing to his companion who's dead set on getting the rim of the hedge right. "Yo, leave!" he calls out. "There's a weirdo behind you. He's staring all creepy like." "By the wild, it scared the crap out of me." The female nearly drops her clippers, grabbing them at the last moment and holding tight as one would hold a dagger. I'm not sure if she intends to use it to defend herself or it's just her natural reaction to being startled, so I decide to raise my hands in a calming manner. I show her I have no weapon and the female rolls her eyes in annoyance. "Ugh, great. Someone misplaced a freak." I'm not sure why I'm doing that voice, but whatever. "You, bacon face, what you want?" She speaks with that now familiar Neanderthal speech. This will never stop being annoying. "Tryst," I utter plainly, trying not to give away that I can understand them. The girl blinks, almost as if it was the last name she'd expect to hear. "Tryst? The fuck you want with Tryst?" "Oi, Bramble, the freak wants to speak with Tryst." She calls out to her chubby friend, and the giant scoffs in amusement. "Tryst? That'd be the first." "Who's to say Tryst wants to speak with it?" "I don't know. This one's kinda fancy looking." She waves her clippers in my direction, and I feel rather uncomfortable having a sharp blade aimed at me so casually. "Wouldn't want to piss off whatever's leash is attached to the other end of that collar." "Ugh, let me fetch him. But if it's some kind of stupid prank, you'll be taking the heat." The other bunny grumbles and finally disappears into the side doorway, leading to the kitchens if I recall my previous tour of the place correctly. Yeah. At least you're not saddled with a freak." The female huffs and returns to tending the hedges. Having nothing else to do, I simply hang around, watching her work from time to time. She's oddly diligent, making sure that the edge is just right. I'm not sure why. The chief doesn't seem like the sort that would be this bothered. What are you looking at, vacant face? She sneers in my direction, and I cannot help but chuckle at how flustered I make her. This seems to only fuel her annoyance, and she finally straightens up. Oh, it's funny, is it? How about I take this trimmer and shove it so far up your... Hey Leaf, what's up? Tryst's arrival prevents any possible spat, and I smile at the bunny kindly. This freaking weirdo is up and about. Oh, it's fine. He's Rannoch's new ward. Rannoch? The female gives me another, this time more careful look, and her eyes center on my collar. Oh, that no good flea bag, she calls out, shaking her oversized scissors. If I were you, I'd throw his new chew toy down the cesspool and... That's enough, Leaf. Now I'm the one to blink, taken by surprise by Tryst's commanding tone. After the way he dismissed you, you did nothing wrong, Anne. I said enough. He repeats sternly, and the girl is as confused and shocked as I am. I didn't know Tryst had this in him. What are you worried about? He's just a dumb oaf. We can speak freely. I won't repeat myself, Leaf. I think you've got some work to do. What's up with you, Grouchy? Was only having a bit of fun. Well, I'm in no mood. Now get back to work before you earn yourself 2 additional hours in the scullery. The scullery? Chief calls out in complete outrage. Who do you think you are? You're still yapping. Make it 3 hours if I hear another word. And with that threat, she finally goes quiet, although her mouth is still wide open. Damn, I guess Tryst is not just any bunny around here. He's quite bossy, not that it's any surprise. In retrospect, it does make sense. Once Leaf's surprise subdues, the female leaves us, marching in a rather aggravated fashion towards the other end of the garden. Come, let's get under the peristyle so that we're more shielded from prying eyes. He invites me to follow, and we move to the side, where the nice colonnade and roofing covers a path adjacent to the kitchen's wall. Here should be good enough. Tryst nods with satisfaction after his ears did a nice radar-like sweep of the cardinal directions. I see you're bossing everyone around. I mutter in amusement, causing him to shrug. They're a bunch of rabbits without a warren. They need some semblance of hierarchy, otherwise all goes to shit. No, besides disorganized, they're just easier prey for those wolves. Spoken like a true leader. Tryst puts a hand on my shoulder and leans out, looking at Leaf staring us down from afar. Try whispering and exaggerate your gestures a bit, so it looks like you're struggling to communicate with me. Can't we just go somewhere secluded? That would look even more suspicious. I guess. I nod reluctantly. Something's telling me he's just careful not to appear in cahoots with me. Whatever's the case, I'm not going to be difficult, so I decide to pull off my best Italian hand expression. Good enough? I ask, flapping my hands around like a politician at a rally. Yeah, tone it down a little. He grimaces teasingly. Shittiest spy and actor this side of the world. Never claimed to be either. Or the best one, if this is just a ruse. I roll my eyes, even though it's obvious his tone is playful. He casts another careful gaze towards his friend, and I decide to do the same, but the female is hard at work. Hope she didn't mistreat you. Despite her name, she's more like a thorn, very keen to prick. I chuckle at his words and shrug. Perhaps a little, but I'd be happy to forget about it. After all, knowing what you guys go through, I realize it's not personal, it's just misplaced anger. He smiles, nodding. She's a good person at heart, but being in our situation, that heart has to be pretty well fortified. What are you doing here anyway? No one sent for you. I know, but I'm running an errand for, well, Rannoch. He's not back yet, not until the evening at least. He narrows his eyes, slightly wary. Well, that's the thing. I want to cook something for him as a welcoming gift. Ha, you are upping your ward game. Tryst finally laughs, giving me one of his more genuine smiles. I guess I can now understand why I got the boot. It's not funny, Not to me, at least. I mumble awkwardly, not keen to revisit the subject every time we meet. I really am sorry about that. Dude, I'm the one who got kicked out. Don't be sorry on my behalf, okay? The rabbit pats my shoulder energetically, and I have to concede. You're right. So, what do you need? I need broth, mustard, sage, and some dried apples. He listens carefully as I try to recall the ingredients, his expression shifting from confusion to a very mocking smirk. I thought you wanted to welcome him home. If you want to kill the wolf, just brew him some wolfsbane and be done with it. Yeah, no. I chuckle but get thrown off immediately by how quickly he mentions the poisonous plant. Wait, what? It's a joke. Tryst reassures me, laughing at my bewildered expression, and quickly dismisses the whole exchange. Broth will be easy, we just cook some beef, so there's plenty around in vats. Sage, apples, and mustard should be in the pantry. Anything else? Some cream? Yeah, all doable. I'll take you to the kitchens, but the pantry you'll have to visit yourself. I don't want to be caught going through the stores. What? Why? The housekeeper is going through the stock, and he's been up in my business all morning. He pauses awkwardly, looking around while his ears scan the opposite direction. I have a bad history with him. There were some discrepancies with the smoking leaf and wine. Tryst, you rascal. Didn't take you for a pincher. I laugh, but he doesn't find it funny. I am not. The chief and Vithyr probably had another binger, smoking and drinking when completely hammered and simply forgot. But since I got the boot, all eyes are on me. Again, sorry about that. Never mind that. He rolls his eyes, clearly annoyed with the continuous apologies. Just deal with the pantry on your own. You can use the servant passage so they won't even know that you're there. Will you wait for me in case there would be trouble? And why would there be trouble? Again, he looks at me with slight suspicion. You aren't stealing those, are you? No. But I had a run-in with Aldris and Dran in the village. They kind of wolf-handle me a little. I show him my bruises, and he grimaces uncomfortably. If it wasn't for Cora, I don't know what would have happened. Really? They must be getting angsty if they harass you in the open. But don't worry about the elders. They don't show their muzzles around here since our luncheon. They steer clear of the villa. He smiles, rubbing my shoulder reassuringly, but I don't find that comforting. Yeah, but that means they're running rampant in the village. Don't worry, no one will harass you here. What about the housekeeper? Oh, he wouldn't dare harass you while you're wearing that. He pokes at the paw emblem on my collar. I just have a regular one, and he didn't even look at me when I served Rannoch. With his crest, you're practically untouchable. That's disputable. I mutter again, petting my sore arms. Okay, tell you what. I'll wait at the door while you fetch your stuff in case there's trouble. I'll be able to intervene. He states with an encouraging smile, and I nod in agreement. Thanks, that'll be quite a comfort. Good. While we're inside, I'll zip it. I cut him to the punchline and the bunny laughs. Once he leads me into the kitchen, a sprawling, vaulted room greets me with two massive hearths on one side. There are many tables and counters, piled high with containers, pans, and pots, along with various raw and cooked dishes. 3 bunnies now work the fires, each minding their own station, with Bramble sitting at the far end, eating a carrot. I can smell some stew boiling, along with the scent of roasted meat and what seems to be a pastry in the oven. It's a very busy workplace, quite odd considering only the chief lives here. Then again, I don't think his belly came out of nowhere. The wolf likes to eat well. Bramble, can you fetch me some cream and broth? I'd say a small vial of both will suffice. Tryst looks at me for a confirmation, and I nod. The large bunny grimaces in my direction and walks towards one of the dressers. As he does so, Tryst leads me to the small door and cracks it open. This will take you directly to the pantry. Don't take any of the side doors, just go straight ahead. He whispers an instruction, and again I nod in silence. Why are you letting that creep into the villa? Mind your own business, or I'll have you clean the cloaca for the next week. I hear Tryst's warning as the door closes behind me. The dimly lit corridor is quite windy, and I can see 3 sets of doors to my left, most likely leading to various parts of the complex. I spot the door on the far end, the one behind which I find the pantry. I try to tread quietly as I slink towards the other side. Once the door creaks, I find myself in the familiar room. Damn, this place is full of surprises. I can hear the chattering in the main hall, Vithyr's warm voice muttering something to the gloomy-sounding chief. Cora did mention that they were having quite the binge recently, empowered by what Tryst told me about the missing supplies. Keenly aware that being caught rummaging through the pantry would not be a good look, especially after the altercation on the street, I decide to go quickly about my business. If only those damn containers were labeled, I'd be out of here in no time. I open and clink shut the lids in haste, trying to find what I need. I recall where Tryst had me fetch the ingredients for the punch, and quite soon I stumble upon dried fruits. Oranges, peaches, I think, pears, apples. 1 down, 2 to go. Mustard will be a no-brainer, and although I don't know what sage should look like, I have a strong enough recollection of what stuffing smells like to be able to find the herb, regardless of its form. Nope, not this one. Nope. I cast a curious gaze towards the door, hearing the muffled conversation, but I decide to keep focus on my task. Nope, another jar filled with unknown liquid. What's this? I flip the lid over to shut it just as fast. Yuck, what the fuck is this godforsaken concoction? It smells like rotten fish. Just kill me if you're going to feed this to me. Stuff of nightmares should not have a place in a pantry. Nope, nope, nope. Not here, not in this one, and this one. Bingo. Mustard. Oof, and by the smell of it, the strong kind. So it comes down to sage. As I rummage through the shelves, I cannot help but overhear their oddly hushed voices, and as much as I want to be out of here, I decide to have a quick peek. I approach the doors and push them ever so gently, to have a slither of a glimpse into the great hall. The chief and Vithyr sit at their usual spots, drinking wine and talking away. They seem to be quite inebriated, judging by their sluggish speech and very ungraceful movements. I love that boy with all my heart. He's all I got left. He reminds me so much of her. She's gone, friend. You cannot keep wasting money trying to track her down. Rannoch's mother? She's not dead? Sometimes I think it was all a mistake. I should have left with her. You did what any wolf should. You put your tribe above personal wants. And what for? His voice is strained, almost breaking. You would have done a better job than I. You would have been a great chief. But I ain't a chief, Vithyr states sternly, filling up his cup. Nor would I ever be. You had the blood right and the support of the Howl. Fuck the Howl. Fuck the blood moon. I'm so tired of these politics. The old male sneers, taking a deep gulp of wine. You would have been a coward to leave after what you've done. You would have sent the tribe into a chaos and anarchy. Is it bad that at times I don't care? Don't say such things. I miss Vithyr. I see her in my dreams. I see her in his eyes. She haunts me. Stop it. The brown wolf commands in a stern voice, but the chief seems to not mind. I don't even know if she's alive. You need to focus on your son. Rannoch needs you. If you truly love her so much, you need to let her go and protect her legacy. Your legacy. Amen to that. Whatever happened. Rannoch needs you, old man. Sometimes, I envy you. The chief speaks, causing Vithyr's expression to sour immediately, and he locks his angered gaze with the older male. Varric, don't. At least you don't have to wonder. You know where she is. She's 6 feet under. I jump back as Vithyr slams his cup to the table, splashing wine all around. What consolation is that? Tell me. You can visit her, speak to her, and listen to the rustle of her leaves. You fucking drunk. The brown male sneers, turning his back to his friend. Am I not right, though? You've always been a spoiled brat. Nothing was ever enough for you. He speaks slowly, his voice betraying a hint of resentment that I've never seen before. Then he finally faces Varrock again, his muzzle barely containing a snarl. I would gladly trade places just to know that Imoen is still alive. Even if not with me, even if she were with another wolf. His eyes gloss and I can see a tear trickle down his cheek. I'd gladly suffer the separation, only to know that she still graces this world with her laughter. You think you're the only one suffering? Vithyr locks his teary gaze with his paws, putting his grief on full display, and even I feel slightly choked up. I see her in Korra's muzzle every moon damn day. She's her spitting image, almost as if Luna was taunting me. So Korra and Rannoch are the gleam in their father's eyes, because they're reminders of lost loved ones. This explains why their relationship deviates so much from the customary norm around here. It's not Luna's doing. Don't howl at the moon. The chief subdues a growl. They took both of our loved ones. They took them both. I have a nasty feeling he means the elders, which, if true, would explain the rift between them. I know, you're right. That's why we must not let them win. They must pay. We have to be smart about this. They cannot be allowed to hurt our pups. Vithyr places his paw on Varrock's shoulder, but the male brushes it off. I will slit that bitch's throat before she lays her paw on Rannoch, or Korra. If she thinks their little investigation is meant to intimidate us, she has another thing coming. It is Aldris, then. We owe it to our mates. I think I've heard enough. I back out from the door and quickly glance around the room. I need to get out of here, especially after hearing this. If I were Sage, where would I be? Better yet, if I were a bunny stalking Sage, where would I put it? Somewhere within arm's reach. I scan the middle shelves once again and locate a few containers I haven't checked. One by one, I narrow it down to the last two, and just like that, the last but not least holds the crushed leaves that smell like Christmas. Sage. Right, time to exit stage left. Though in my case, the door is on the right. As I rush through the corridor, I see Tryst waving me in. Once inside the kitchen, he closes the doors behind me and gives me quite a suspecting look. I have your broth and cream, he mutters, nodding towards the table, and I quickly deposit the 2 vials into my basket. I let him lead me out the room, eager to get away from the prying eyes. Once outside, he glares at me impatiently, almost as if he thought I put him on the spot. What took you so long? Well, first I needed to find the sage, but then I kinda got eavesdroppy. I admit uncomfortably, not seeing a point of lying to him. My frankness takes him by surprise, and he blinks, embracing me slightly and leveling with my line of sight. What? Why? What did you overhear? Nothing important really, just a private conversation between the chief and Vithyr. They seem so sad. Yeah, well, they've been sulking ever since I got here, but lately, it got increasingly worse. It's about their wives, isn't it? It's not even a question, he states it as if it were obvious for all to see. Wolves don't have wives, I mutter, taken by his comment. What? Of course they do. I mean, most don't. He shrugs. It's kinda complicated with them. Normally, wolves don't get attached to their mates. However, when they do, they call it a soul bond. From what I understood, both the chief and Vithyr had that special connection with their mates. Rannoch and Korra's mother. I conclude. Yeah. No wonder they're so keen on the idea of their kids becoming a thing. It's probably romantically poetic to them in some twisted way. He tries to laugh it off, and my heart sinks at the realization of the harsh truth. Well, isn't it kinda? I mumble uncomfortably. If they only knew it was all just a ruse, they would have been completely broken. I guess? Tryst concedes indifferently, but I cannot help but linger on the matter. I can't imagine the disappointment when it'll fall apart. No way. He waves at me dismissively. Rannoch and Korra are very keen on each other. They practically are like conjoined twins. Oh, yeah, you're right. I laughed, trying to conceal that I know more than I perhaps should. I was just thinking about what ifs. You know, life throws you a curveball and then. Nah, those two are solid as a rock. Thankfully, he doesn't pick up on it and dismisses my comments as paranoia. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm just projecting my pessimism. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to the cottage. I point to the basket. I have some experimental cooking to attempt. More like attempted murder. Tryst laughs mockingly and I scowl. Again, ugh. What did apples ever do to you? Fuck you, Tryst. I'd fuck me, alright. He smiles widely, his chompers on full, prideful display. He's actually quite good looking without his stink eye. No, he's not, he's a bunny. Afraid, can't say the same about you, buddy. Too bad he doesn't have a personality match his exterior. I shake my head teasingly and take a deep sigh, before I'm reminded of the message from Bull. Oh, one last thing. Vulgar needs to see you at sundown. Vulgar? He jumps up in a panic and looks around. What did I do? Relax. You've done nothing wrong. I chuckle encouragingly. He just needs a favor. Go to his cottage, but do so discreetly so no one else notices. Is this one of your stupid ideas? He mutters accusingly, but I shake my head. No, he just needs you to get a message to his grandmother. There's trouble brewing with those two old cunts. He wants to be prepared in case they make a move. Ah, that's different. If I can fuck over those two in any fashion, I'll gladly do it. Tryst laughs merrily, patting my side. Does he know we... He pauses, darting his finger between myself and me. No, I kept my word. He still thinks we're on a pantomime level. Good. The bunny nods in content. Keep it that way. In case things go south, I'd rather not have a direct connection to you. Sure, I get it. Again, I look towards the filled basket and think we've been out in the open for too long. Anyway, take care, Tryst. I've got dinner to make. I nod to him and head towards the path. Yeah, good luck with that. He calls out through a subdued laughter. Looking forward to your execution tomorrow for crimes against wolfkind of culinary arts. I walk off, flipping him the bird as I do so. Not that I expect him to even know the gesture. Despite my perilous situation, I find myself to be in a position where both overlooked and underestimated. I can prove quite useful. As much as I hate to admit it, I would make quite a good spy. Especially when surrounded by racists with a superiority complex. If only I could utilize this skill against those old fools. But there's no rush. As Enel said herself, a true wolf lies in wait for the right moment to strike. And so, I'll wait patiently. Something will come up, I'm certain of it. Until then, I need to survive. I find it quite unsettling that those two cunts had a hand in both Rannoch and Korra's mother's disappearance. From what I understood, Korra's mom died because of them. Somehow. While Rannoch's mom left, apparently hoping for Varrock to follow her, but he chose to stay instead. Was she banished? If so, for what possible reason? Surely not because she hung around a while when Rannoch was little. That's not a crime, is it? This is all so convoluted, but it gives me more and more reason to hate those abusive pieces of shit. They've been fucking up everyone's life for generations, it would seem. Not now. I'm angry enough as it is. I rub my bruise, suddenly met with realization. If Rannoch's returning tonight, then this will send him into a frenzy. Fuck. I'll have to come up with some lame-ass excuse to cover for those geezers. We'll have to play it down and play it cool if we're to get those cunts, and Rannoch isn't exactly known for his subtlety. As I enter the village, I walk directly towards the butchery. I pass the onlookers who still relieve the spectacle from the morning, staring at me with utter disbelief. Once I'm at the counter, I poke at it, drawing Bull's attention. We sparred. Rannoch cannot know. He looks at me with confusion but quickly nods, hopefully understanding my meaning. Tryst will come around sundown. Again, Vol nods and I rush off, acutely aware everyone's locking their curious gazes at us. As I walk the last stretch of the road leading to the cottage, I notice the white wolf standing on the side of the pathway. Fuck. He's the last person I need to interact with now. For a moment I consider finding a detour, but it's too late. He approaches me calmly and grabs the handle of the heavy basket. Let me help you. I try to protest, but he persists, tugging at the handle. Considering that further resistance would only cause another scene, I simply let go and allow him to take it from me. Fancy seeing you here. And by that I mean, you look quite fancy in that silk dress. He winks at me mockingly, barely containing a snicker. Rannoch treats you well. Instead of an attendant, you almost look like a bride. I choke on the remark and throw him a shocked stare, causing the wolf to laugh. Come now, ruffling your fur is not even a challenge. Was only teasing. I keep my head straight, looking into the distance as if I didn't even hear him. I've heard you had quite an eventful day. You're the talk of the town. He bumps into my shoulder. The only people who ever reached this level of notoriety around here never got to enjoy it for long. Their heads got too big for their own good, and rolled off their shoulders. Is that meant to be a threat? Still silent, I see. I guess Rannoch's choice in words was always a bit peculiar. In spite of his penetrating stare, I feel more anxious than I should, as if another set of eyes keep drilling into me. I look back and see the same hooded figure in the distance. I recognize him. That wolf has been following my every move around the village for the past few days. My heart races and Tano's eyes center on me, clearly picking up on my distress. He wastes no time and locates the cause of my sudden anxiety. That's Andalt, and you're right to be afraid. He's a bit of a creep even by my standards. The white wolf utters in an odd, comforting tone. I'd advise you to stay away from him, and I mean that with complete sincerity. I look at him with a slightly risen brow. Yes, I know they told you the same about me, but trust me, Andalt was always a little unhinged, and since our shaman passed away, he's been acting out more than usual. Also, he has it out for Verissa, so if I were you, I would keep my affiliation with her on the down low and have my wits about me. I narrow my eyes, clear distrust painted across my face. It's not a trap, kid. If I wanted you harmed, I'd already ratted you out for speaking our language and faking your injury. I cannot hide my shock at his bluntness. Don't act so surprised. Surely you knew I knew. You're not a good actor. Ugh, your mute performance grows weary. I can see I pretty much exhausted his patience and decide to drop my act. After all, he pretty much called out my bluff to my face, and aggravating him further would only worsen my situation. What do you want? Tano feigns an exaggerated gasp. It speaks! Sorry, I couldn't help it. He chuckles it off. Stop fucking around. You can get me killed. Relax. If I wanted you killed, you'd be dead already. I want you to stay safe. Our people really don't need another distraction right now. Well, it's too late for that. My safety depended on staying away from you. Look how that worked out. Your secret is safe with me. Not on your account, but the tribe's. I pull away from him slightly, not buying his pretty words. He fooled me once already. He notices my distrust and sighs. My goals simply differ from Rannoch's. That does not make me evil. Maybe, but that doesn't make you an enemy. The white wolf gazes at me with slight surprise. That's a bit rash, don't you think? I raise my brow. There's a saying, choose your allies wisely, and choose your enemies more carefully still. Believe me when I say this, you don't want me as your enemy. Well, you're not an ally either. Which makes me impartial, and that can be a whole deal more effective in solving your current predicament. He states plainly, but my defiant expression causes him to sigh. A fresh perspective devoid of any emotional bias might prove quite handy. What makes you think they're emotionally invested in me? Ha! Who's trying to be deceitful now? I'm an otherkin, illegally smuggled into your village. Why would you care about me? I don't. He shrugs indifferently. True, it is worrisome that you speak our language. Just as curious is your timely appearance here in the first place. But I'm willing to believe you and your amnesia story. Oh, and why is that? Again, you're not a good liar. The White Wolf sighs, splitting his arms in defeat. And as much as I hate to admit it, Rannoch is a good judge of character. If he says you're harmless, I'm willing to trust his instincts. Besides, we have bigger problems to deal with, and I really wouldn't like the Howl or the Elders wasting what precious little time we have left on this distraction. He brushes his paw dismissively in my direction. So, I would like us to come to an understanding. You will lay low, much, much lower than you did so far. And in turn, I will make sure that the more perceptive eyes of our tribe are fixed elsewhere. And I'm supposed to trust you? As I said, I already have you in my paws. There is no trap here to be sprung. Do you have a habit of rolling in grass? He asks casually, throwing me off. What? There seems to be another weed stuck in your pin. I thought I got rid of the last one. I stop in my tracks, looking at him wide-eyed as he tries to reach for my dandelion. I swat his paw away at the last moment. It was you? I nearly exclaim, which he smiles with a sadistic satisfaction. Temper, temper. Someone might take notice. He looks around, causing me to do the same. Although no one's around to pay us any mind, I need to keep my cool. I take a deep breath, locking my hateful gaze in the distance. I cannot look at this fucker right now. Did I upset him? I bet I did. He utters in a sad tone, but a smirk betrays his faking it. I want to wipe it off his smug muzzle. If we weren't in the open, I would... Come now, don't make threats you know you cannot follow through. He laughs me off and I throw him an angered stare. Don't test me. The White Wolf only nods towards his chiseled torso. Even if he's the smallest of the wolves, I would have no chance with him. I sigh in annoyance, trying to yank the basket free, but his hold remains firm. Now be a good servant. Go in there and make our future chief happy. Don't worry, everything will be fine as long as you follow our lead. Our lead? Mine and theirs. Whatever crazy scheme Verissa and the gang cooked up to be rid of you, make sure it works. I will hold my peace. But if you fuck up again, as you did with me, I will not hesitate to sell you out just to mitigate the damage. He says in a cold tone, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I'm just glad to see that we're almost at the cottage. Oh, and one last thing. I'd suggest you keep our little exchange and its conclusion just between us. Rannoch and I are not exactly on speaking terms. He might take it the wrong way and overreact as he usually does. That would not be helpful to either of us. I hope my little demonstration at the feast proved what I mean. I hardly contain my anger at his smugness. You almost blew our cover. Yeah, almost. Luckily, I did so when everyone was at their most distracted, and the chief was away. Huh. Fuck, he's smart. And evil. Believe me, I had you where I wanted you, and no harm came your way. He winks at me coyly, but I remain unconvinced, looking at him with suspicion. My resolve strengthens by the fact that we're finally arrived home. You're smarter than you give yourself credit. You should know by now I'm not a threat. Well, not actively at least. You know what to do. And by now, I've had enough of his bluster and vile threats. I give him the meanest stink eye I could possibly muster and rush up the stairs of the porch. I enter the kitchen and slam the doors behind me, slumping against them. What a prick! He's so full of himself that all I can think of is wiping that self-satisfied smirk from his smug muzzle. Ugh! But he's right. I mumble, plopping the basket onto the floor. Rannoch tends to overreact, and as much as I don't feel like having secrets, I don't think telling him I spoke with Tano would be a good idea. Not only it could lead to another scene, and I had my fill for the week, it could potentially derail our reunion. As selfish as it sounds, I really need to have some closure with him, and it would be exceedingly hard to talk about our feelings when he's fuming over the white wolf. Fuck, why does everything have to be so complicated? I look around the cottage with resignation, remembering how desperate I was to get out of these four walls. Now all I can think of is barricading myself in here and never coming out. I began to slowly unpack all of my bounty, arranging it neatly onto the table. Once I put away the basket, I work on the fire, getting it nice and hot. I look towards the window, trying to gauge the time of the day. Sometime past noon, I suppose. From what Verissa said, this probably wouldn't take longer than an hour to prepare, so it might be too early for that. I guess Rannoch wouldn't be back around 6 o'clock or so. I have time to kill. Between the idle browsing of Avis's guide, I set up the dried apple slices to soak and brew myself some mint in hot water. There's no tea nor coffee to indulge in, so herbs are the only alternative to water that isn't boozy. The mint helps me calm down a bit, as despite appearances, the encounter with the elders did rattle me a little. Not to mention Vol's poor-ass handling of his own emotions. It was curious to see him project his fear into anger. Curious, but also unsettling. I don't think I could have imagined the male being scared of anything. I guess scared is the wrong word. He was worried for his friends and himself. Still, as dismissive as I am of those old farts, they have more pull around here than I'd like to admit. Hopefully this little scuffle will slide by the sideway, but something tells me it's not gonna happen. I could use some company to distract myself from my worries, but as Verissa said, everyone's preparing to welcome the missing pack. I wish I could help, but I suppose it's better that I stay out of sight for a while. The only consolation is the fact that I will attend tonight's feast. That's definitely something that I look forward to. As the blue sky outside slowly fades into hues of vibrant pinks and purples, I begin to set up my cooking station. I place a metal grate on top of the frame, holding the wood, creating an improvised stove. I follow Verissa's instructions, grab a skillet and melt a dollop of butter. I drain the apple slices and I drop them into the pan to fry until they're golden brown. The aroma is very reminiscent of pie, and it instantly lifts up my mood, causing a wide smile on my face. Damn, this smells good. Once the apples are done and the butter slightly caramelized, I remove them onto a side plate. God damn it. Once the apples are done and the butter slightly caramelized, I remove them onto a side plate. Gently, I take 4 succulent pork fillets and drop them onto the pan. They sizzle immediately, releasing pink juices into the butter, and the smell intensifies, shifting slightly from apple pie towards a sweet barbecue. This starts to make me hungry. I make sure to sear the medallions evenly, including the edges, to trap as much of the juice inside as possible. No one likes dried meat. Oh, what's next? Add back the apples and pour in the broth. I follow the instructions, covering the fillets with stock, watching it with satisfaction as it bubbles. Now a spoon of mustard and some sage. I fish out a generous dollop of mustard, again enjoying its potent scent. This could go very well with sausage. I could devour a nice dog. I blink, laughing and shaking my head. Don't say that in front of the wolves, you weirdo. I open a little container with sage, wondering how much would be enough. I guess a generous sprinkling would do the trick. I shrug, peppering the stew with the crushed up herb until the familiar scent of Christmas turkey stuffing fills the house. Now that the dish simmers, I sit back and relax, enjoying the darkening sky outside, accompanied by the smell of absolute culinary delight. This wasn't as hard as I imagined. My hand taps impatiently at the table as the minutes go by, and I'm increasingly aware of Rannoch's imminent return. God, I'm so impatient. I get up to stir the bubbling sauce, looking how lovely everything has incorporated. Once I think it's just right, I finally add the cream. I bring a spoonful to my lips and take a curious sip. Damn, this is delicious. A perfect combination of savory and sweet. The apples and the mustard are balanced so well with the buttery flavor of cream. No wonder it's one of his favorites. I think it's mine as well. As I revel in my culinary triumph, I hear heavy footsteps approach the doorway and my heart skips a beat. He's here. I try to hold in my tears, but my eyes are already glossed. The door cracks open and I see the wolf enter with an excited, but slightly surprised expression. Emilio? Rannoch? I mutter through my trembling lips, still not believing he's really here, safe and unharmed. But unwilling to cause a scene, I muster all my strength and simply say the words that I've been wanting to say for a long while. Welcome home. To be continued. Ooh. Well, he's finally back. The wolf is finally back. For the next update. Well, at least the wolf is back, huh? And hopefully we don't end up poisoning him with our food, because apparently the bunny thinks that what we were about to serve him is very suspect. But anyways, thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Far Beyond the World yourself, there will be a link down in the description. If you would like to support the creator, there will be a link down for their Patreon. If you would like to follow the creator on Twitter, I will also post a link. Anyways, I guess I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.